Hey guys, Crazypostman here. Welcome to part 2 of installing more zones with the TerraMow V1000. So we're going to quickly finish up the mowing that we started in the previous part 1 because this episode's going to be a bit different. We're going to push TerraMow to the max here in just a minute, but you can see it's going all around, crazy circles, not really going in rows here, and this is what causes my dad to not like TerraMow. He doesn't understand why it doesn't go back and forth in rows. I try to explain to him that this mower is more AI. It's going to look and see what it thinks it needs to mow instead of blindly follow strict RTK back and forth mowing points. But again, this does kind of bother my dad.
You can put in your comments, my dad don't like it. Well, will spoil you. It's a really good mower.
He likes things orderly. But you can give yourself a little order by putting in those mowing boxes, which will force the Terra to ignore the dirt patches and just mow in a nice straight row. So this is the end of the mowing session for the first part. And overnight, I got a software update because if you remember in the previous episode, I had some problems. I complained to TerraMow and they sent me a patch overnight. That is amazing efficiency. So you can see here we updated to the new software. Now, I don't know if this software fixes the problems of the missing no-go zones that were circles. And I don't know if it's going to help me with the getting stuck yet. But I can tell you it has helped so far. I haven't had the same problems since installing this firmware update. So it looks like they did solve the problem for now, but I just have 1 day's worth of use with it. So this finishes up the part 1 video. Now for this video, what we're going to do, we're going to see how much Terra can actually map. I'm just going to let it loose in my backyard and let it map until it says it can't map anymore. Now, you know the model number is the V1000, which equates to 1,000 square meters or 10,000 some odd square feet. So today, we're going to find out exactly how much it will let you put in the map. Will it let you just keep going to infinity and then you'll just never have a chance of actually being able to mow all that area? Or do they cut you off at a reasonable point somewhere? Let's find out. It finished mowing that area and we got it back in the charger here, charging back up. We also got that new firmware installed. It didn't take very long since it was a quick hot fix with just probably a couple lines of code in it. So now we got all this area mowed and you can see it did in fact mow this area. There was a couple missed stripes over here. I think it might have saw some of these long things as flowers or things that shouldn't cut. And that may actually even be true. I'll have to ask my mom if that's a flower. I don't know. She's got so many things growing in random places around here. That could very well be a flower and why it went around it. So now we have a problem. I did this whole area and we still have room on the map. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to start mapping back that direction and we're going to see how much I can map before it tells me it's out of space. I don't even know if there's a hard limit. Are we going to run out of space in the map, or is it going to just let you map to infinity and then it obviously wouldn't be able to keep it all up during growing season? So we're going to see what happens here. Over here is where Duck's sister rests. Little Zoe kitty. 2005 to 2022. So y'all are joining me here in the map. So here's what we're going to do. So this right here is that old playset. What we're going to do, we're going to make a hole in the fence right here. And I'm going to add this whole area back here. This should put us over the size limit for sure. First of all, what we need to do, we need to edit this no-go zone here. We need to, whoops. I didn't mean to push the whole thing down. I meant to just grab the ball. There we go. So we're going to save this. So I need to have the robot come over here, and I'm too lazy to drive it over here. So I'm going to have it come right here. So we're going to add a pin point right here. Okay, we're going to save that pinned point. So now I'm going to have the robot come to this point. Heading to pinned point. We're just going to have to wait for a while for it to get here. You'll have to watch the clock up in the top corner and see how long it took it to get here. Maybe I should have just walked over there and carried it over here to save some time, but I didn't do that. What fun is that when you can have it do it all by itself? And here it comes. Once it gets to this point on the map that I brought it to, what we're going to do is we're going to go back in the map, and I'm going to put virtual fences in out here before I tell it to start. That way, when it starts mapping, it can just go. Almost there. Why did it turn to face me? Did it do that on purpose? That's kind of weird. So we need to add some virtual fences here. Are these touching? 45 feet in that direction. And then we need another virtual fence connected up over here to this guy. 125 feet. And then we'll make it a box. So now we've made this gigantic area over here. So here's what we're going to need to do. We're going to need to add a new zone via manual control, set as start point right where we are. Now I'm just going to drive across into this area and make a tiny little pathway. It's doing its little slow turn right here. I'm in the app. I just told it to set start point. So we're just going to make another little tiny little pathway. Location set successfully. Alright, I need to do this next bit in the app. I know the screen resolution is small because I don't want to start a new recording, but this is just for a second. All we have to do is turn this guy around and drive into this zone. Set as endpoint. So we did our tiny little baby pathway, and now it's going to map this area. It shouldn't go much further than like the edge of this, because that's where I set the no-go zone, even with this. So it should kind of only go about that far. And then I have no clue how far out it there it's going to go. It was like 40 or 60 feet, and then it's like 120 feet in that direction. Keep watching the app. We'll do a little time lapse here and watch it map this area. I'm sitting up here on the porch now, watching it from afar. You can see we're approaching 10,000 square feet, and I don't know exactly what 1,000 square meters is, but it's somewhere between 10,000 and 11,000 square feet. So it'll be interesting to see if this is a hard limit or it allows us to continue on mapping this area. But we're pretty close. Won't take long now. Well, you can see, well, you can't see, I'm in the way. Now you can. You can see that we are well over the 10,000 square foot limit on the TerraMow. Not sure how it's going to react, but we will just let it keep going and see. I started Luba in the front yard when I got over here. It's doing this half of the front yard, so that's where it started, and it's working this direction. This is about 21,000 square feet that it's doing right now. I can't wait until the day where there is a TerraMow that can do this much. I know I keep saying that, but supposedly a bigger one is coming next year, and I am pretty excited for it. Although, I do have to say, now this isn't my opinion, this is my dad's opinion, and he doesn't do anything except watch them mow. He doesn't map anything, he doesn't press the start button, he just watches them when they mow, and he likes how the RTK mower mows, and that's because it goes in a planned straight path, and you pretty much know what it's going to do. When the Terra starts mowing, you know, there's no telling what it's going to do. It's just going to do what it wants to do. It does make nice straight back and forths when the grass is real nice and green and obviously grass. But when you get into stuff like this, it's going to spin and squirrel all over the place, and my dad does not like that. Now, you can combat that by putting a grass cutting zone here, and then it will kind of ignore the dirt areas and just mow here anyway. I think it's kind of cool that the AI can see with its eyeballs and does what it wants to do. You know, with the Luba out here, it's a dang robot. There's no brains in there. I mean, there's brains, but it's just going to do what it's supposed to do. It doesn't make any choices. It does have a little bit of obstacle detection, but this is the Luba 1. There's no camera. It's just going in straight back and forth lines. Terra has a mind of its own. It's going to look and see and go where it thinks it needs to go, and not go where it doesn't think it needs to go. Anyway, I'm blabbering on. Let's get back to the time lapse. Remember earlier where I said I didn't know if these were flowers? Well, look around this bottom of this tree. Now, I'm pretty sure my mom told me she had something important around the bottom of the Rose of Sharon, which that's what this is. And those look just like these over here. So it looks like the robot avoided them. But I don't know why it didn't avoid the Vinca. You can see here the Vinca was clearly defined right there and then off that way. But the mower decided to get in there and cut this whole little corner out of it. So I'm not sure why. I mean, this is a very... I mean, you can see where the grass ends and where the Vinca starts. And then you can see where it was mowed. Not sure why it did that. Honestly, I didn't realize it was going to go back this far. It's back here working around all these trees and stuff. I really got it going all the way across. Wow. That little guy is way out there. Looking live at the map here, it doesn't look like it's going to make it all the way to the fence. But, I mean, we can always stretch it a little bit further, make it go all the way to the fence. Well, that's it. 13,565 square feet. And it says it's returning to home. So that's all she wrote. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to adjust this virtual fence So a little over 1,300 feet is all she'll do. So it's at the crossing point between zones now. Then it's going to cross zones and continue on heading home. And here it comes on the home stretch. It's had a rough day today. I'm going to let it come home and recharge a little. And then I'm going to edit the map like I said. And I'm going to send it out there to mow that area, because it needs mowed anyway. Remember, we're going to keep this guy tested to the fullest. There's a jet up there doing donuts somewhere. We did plant grass here, so maybe in a week or two we'll start having green fuzzies come up. Like over here. Planted grass here about 2 weeks ago. Now we got the green fuzzies. We'll let him charge for a while and then put him right back to work. So you can see we've changed the virtual boundary to make it line up more with its capabilities. Now what we're going to do, we're going to delete this little pathway, and then I'm going to make this a whole separate zone. We go to the add a new zone screen. Now we can click on the pathway and delete that. Now we get out of this screen, we can go to zone editing, and we're going to split this zone right here. Put one there, one over here, and now we're going to split that right there. Alright, now we have 3 distinct zones. So whenever I want to mow, we can say zone, and I can click on this one, or that one. But that's the one we're going to go to and mow in just a little bit. We'll let it get to 80%. Here comes that jet back, doing another donut above us. It's a T-38, if you're curious. Anybody wondering how far Luba got while Terra was mapping that third area? Now you can see Luba did about 10,000 square feet in that time. So I let it charge back up a little bit. Now I can't let it charge too long because it's already 4:29 p.m. and it can only mow till about 6:30, and then it says it's getting too close to sunset and it'll come home. So we're going to send it off to this third zone we just created, because we could create no more. We maxed this little guy out and we're going to let him mow it. I think I may do another video of all 3 zones in automatic mode and see how long or how many days it takes this little guy to mow his full coverage area. Because I doubt it can finish in one day. Maybe from sunup to sundown. But it does have to have charging time in there. It'll probably have to charge 2, maybe even 3 times. Interestingly enough, it didn't go the same way to get to this third zone as it did last time. Last time, it drove around this way and parked right here. There, it made its way around this time. It could have gone that way and then through this way, but it might have saw the dirt, and you know how Terra really only likes to drive on grass. Okay, it should be in the far corner of its zone, so it should go that way.
Starting blade disc.
Yeah, now it's going to turn around and start here in the corner of its area. I'm going to put a large grass cutting zone across most of this area and see if that helps it be a bit more uniform. It's been about 45 minutes, so you can see everything it's done from about here over to there. I think that grass cutting zone really helps it stay on track and just go back and forth nicely. It'll probably go another hour before sunset hits. So we'll see how much it gets done, but I doubt it'll be able to finish. Well, we are at 85 minutes and 52% on the mowing session here. You can see it's doing quite a good job on this little area here. Looks nice and even. Does have a ways to go. Remember, it gets over there a little bit past those trees, but I don't think it's going to finish. It's obviously not going to finish, and we're only 30 minutes from sundown, so I'm going to go ahead and go home, and I'll leave the screen recording going, and of course, I'll turn on the screen recording for tomorrow when it finishes up. So I thought I would throw in a quick screen recording of the mowing process so you can see I started here at 4:35-ish, and we get to mowing. Now, something about my editing software here, I cannot fast forward more than 100x. So since this screen recording is such a long recording, I actually can't speed it up as much as I would want to. Normally, I only like 10 or 15 second clips at the most. Well, it's a bit more on this one. So you can see here that it's been going for 50 minutes now, and it's done 1,100 square feet. It's basically just back and forth. I put a grass cutting zone over this whole area so it doesn't do anything but go back and forth. So this should be a best case scenario for speed for the TerraMow. It is set to maximum speed on the general settings. So you can see we are approaching sunset here. It's only going to get about halfway done before it heads home because of sunset. But that's okay because we can continue the next day. Or can we continue the next day? Here in just a second, you're going to find out a new problem I just found. Well, unfortunately, I can't find the screen recording, but that's okay. We can look at these mowing records. So you can see this is what we just watched, what I did yesterday. It mowed for an hour and 52 minutes and got 2,486 square feet. And that was from 4:30 p.m. till sunset at 6:41 p.m. Well, I'm thinking that's fine. We can continue right where we left off the next day. Well, here's what happened the next day. I sent the mower out, and it mowed for a grand total of 2 minutes and decided it was completed. It mowed like 21 square foot, and it thought it was completed. You can see all the extra blue even in the application, so it knew it wasn't done, but it said it was. Looking here at the text version of the mowing records, if you're familiar with the way TerraMow does the mowing records, you know it doesn't say completed unless it's completed. So it thought it completed this zone for some reason, and I have no idea why. And then I'm thinking, that's okay. TerraMow has this awesome feature called Box Mow, and you can place a box anywhere on the map to mow just that area. Well, that has a maximum size limit for some reason, so that didn't help me at all. So with nothing else left to do and feeling a little bit defeated, I just went ahead and completely restarted the task. Knowing it wasn't going to be able to finish on one battery, it did get a bit further than it did last time because there was no grass on the left side. It was already mowed, so it used less battery to get through that area. But it mowed for 3 hours and 6 minutes, covering 3,700 square feet, and it still didn't finish. So you can see I mowed from 12:06 to 3:42, and it had to go back and charge. Well, is it going to finish this time? So after getting on the internet and complaining about my problems, which is what I do best, by the way, somebody responds, perhaps try to split the area into different parts. And duh, of course, I showed you that earlier in this episode. You can split an area. So technically, I could have split this area about where the previous day ended, and I could have just forced it to start where I wanted it to, and it wouldn't have had to mow over the same area as much. I could have just created a completely new zone just by editing the map. So I didn't think about this, and this just reminds me that there's always somebody smarter than you are on the internet. So after charging for a little bit, Terra was able to come back out and finish this zone just a few minutes before the sunset ending time. So you can see it worked another hour and 18 minutes and covered an additional 812.4 square feet. So we were able to finish this area before it quit for the day. So thanks for hanging out with me and seeing how much the new TerraMow V1000 can handle. See y'all in the next one. I figure we should do one final check-in on the Luba. Since I'm here, he's made it this far, but he did have a charge, so he's already mowed, went in for a charge, and now he's back out mowing again. Got a little thick there in the middle. I need to remember to run this more often.
Say something about our pitiful yard sometime. The big dead spot out there was my iris garden. Last year we planted it in ryegrass just to cover it up. The armadillos came how many years in a row, Daddy?
About 15 years ago, they came about 5 in a row.
Forever. First the armadillos came, then it was a drought, and then it froze, and then we had a flood. And the flood brought all the weeds.
Why are you making noise? Let's see what that is. Probably a leaf. Yep, it's a leaf. Oh gosh, I don't even know which one was the start button. That's power. What we got there? That's the mow. That's the home. There's the start button. This guy needs a bath. He's gonna pee on that. Yep, I know my pup